The very first thing we learn in culinary school is that homemade stocks and broth are superior than store-bought. Yet every time I see this in a video, people are always DMing me saying, but it's a waste of time and money. So I'm testing that out today. I'm going to be making a batch of beef stock and testing out the pros and cons and whether it is more cost efficient than the store-bought. Because I do want to prove to you that yes, it is cheaper and yummier, but I also don't know. Like, I am a little bit scared that it's not cheaper and that y'all have been right this whole time, but we will see. Okay, first things first, we have to go over the price breakdown of both ingredients and if I were to get store-bought. And today I got all of my ingredients at Whole Foods, so let's go over there first. Okay, I'm getting my bones from Whole Foods. Luckily, mine here in Laguna has bones that are grass-fed and I find are pretty high quality. Now, that being said, not all Whole Foods have bones, I have found. And sometimes they have chicken bones, sometimes they only have beef bones, vice versa. But you know who always will? A butcher. And if they don't, they can order them in. So if your Whole Foods doesn't have it, check out a butcher. Okay, so I basically bought at a premium because I did shop at Whole Foods and they only had grass-fed bones. Am I mad about it? No, I prefer grass-fed, so that worked out really nicely, but I will be comparing it to a premium of beef stock because grass-fed bones are more expensive. We're gonna compare the two. So just know you can buy beef bones for way less money than I just paid. So like realistically, that would be a factor too. Okay, so I did buy 6 pounds and 1.5 ounces of beef bones. The cost of those beef bones were $7.99 a pound, coming to $48.70. Not as cheap as I expected. There's obviously other ingredients. We have celery, which equated to 30 cents for this recipe, carrots, which is 35, and onions with $2.87, coming to a grand total of $52.23 for the ingredients for this recipe. Now, I'm not calculating the cost of water for the stock because I simply don't have time for that. And I'm also not calculating the herbs I have that will be used because we grow those in our yard. So to me, they're $3.99, but they'd probably add an extra buck if I had to guess. Now, I did make my way to the broth and stock section to see what the pricing was looking like there. Again, I bought these at a premium, the bones, so we're gonna look for a premium cost of the stock. The one that I think is most comparable is the Kettle and Fire beef bone broth because I do think they actually use bones in there. From other stocks, I'm really not sure. So we are gonna compare to that one. And the cost of that one was $13.49 for 32 ounces, AKA that is 4 cups total. Now, did I buy that for the purpose of this video? No, because I'm still convinced that my beef stock is going to be cheaper than that $13.50 one. So now let's get to cooking this to see how many cups we can make to compare it to the store-bought one. Okay, to start off, we are gonna roast these at around 450 for 45 minutes to an hour. I want them to be gold, I want them to be brown, I want them to be delicious. This creates a Maillard effect, which means flavor. If you just boil them first, they'll kind of just be like, I don't know. This would be good. Parchment paper. You can line this with foil, it makes a lot of fat, but like as you can see, this pan's a piece of shit, so I don't care. Basically just gonna dump the bones right on there. Now, some beef stock recipes will use tomato paste on here and coat all of the bones in them. I'm lazy, so I won't be doing that. Don't be ratting me out to Chef Wong. You taught me how to make stock at the CIA. Season with salt for a little bit of flavor. You don't have to do this. You're not technically supposed to, but I like my things a little bit salty, so I'm going to do that. Then we're gonna pop this in the oven, 450 degrees, just until it gets golden. So this takes my oven probably 45 minutes. It might take your oven an hour and 20 minutes, so just watch it. These are what your bones should look like. Again, golden brown and delicious for flavor. Next comes the simmering, so we're gonna throw these in a big stock pot. In it, we're gonna go in with an onion, celery, carrot, and then we're also gonna go in with thyme, bay leaf, peppercorns, and then we cover with 2 inches of cold water. You want cold over warm because it will extract more nutrients as the temperature comes up, which makes for much tastier broth. Then we wanna bring it up to a simmer. Once it's simmering, I like to turn the heat to low so it's at a low boil, and then you'll notice foam on top. You can remove some of that. It's just the impurities from the bones. Now, a lot of this will also be filtered out at the end, so if you want to skip this step, you can do that. Then simmer on low with a lid for 9 to 12 hours. I'm doing this at 12:30 p.m., which means I'm going to have to come back at like 9 p.m. Strain it all out, which I didn't plan well for that, did I? It is 9 hours later. You can probably tell from my disheveled vibe, but we are going to strain the stock and then refrigerate it overnight. It's been 9 hours. Your stock should be this deep, rich brown color. That comes from roasting. So roast your bones first, people. We are going to discard the bones and then strain through a fine mesh strainer. I first did it through a colander and I was like, No, that's not enough. So fine mesh strainer it is. You will know this is a lot more viscous and deep in color than a store-bought. So we're not gonna chill this overnight. The fat will solidify in the fridge and then you can just like scoop it off in the morning. So it's been in the fridge for a solid 8 to 10 hours and the fat comes to the top and solidifies, which is nice because you can just scrape it off and then discard it, or if you want to melt it down and use it to cooking, you can do that as well. Also notice the texture of this broth. It is very viscous and almost gelatin-like. This is what broth is supposed to look like, not complete liquid. Store-bought never looks like this because they don't use enough bones to have enough nutrients to create this gelatin-like texture. Okay, we have it all measured out. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quarts and about 4 ounces of broth. To be honest, I thought I would make 4 quarts, so I'm pleasantly surprised by how much this actually made. Let's do the math. Drum roll, please. 6 quarts and 4 ounces comes out to 26 cents per ounce. Now, per quart, that would cost $8.52. You want to remember, for the store-bought nicer stock, it was $13.49 for the same amount. So this $8.52 versus the shittier quality store-bought one at $13.49, you were saving around $4.97 per quart. So in conclusion, making it at home saves you around $5 per quart. Now to me, that is worth making it at home. I know a lot of people will be like, okay, but what about the labor and time it's spent to put into making it? Which yes, that's a factor, but it's pretty hands-off work for me. You roast bones for an hour and then you simmer them for like 9. You don't have to watch it. You can be out living your life. And just from a chef's point of view, this quality of stock is infinitely better than any that you can get at the store. Y'all saw how viscous and almost like gelatin-like it is. That is what you want from a stock. It's not supposed to be this watered down, flavorless, like artificial tasting stuff. It is supposed to be tasting like a soup already. That's where the nutrients are, that's where the flavor is. So I'm team stock at home every single day. But I'm sure y'all have some differing opinions on it, so comment what you think. Do you think it's worth it to make it at home and why? And make sure to follow for more cooking content just like this.